Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to be continuing on with Diagon Alley, and specifically Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Well, I did think of doing something completely different today, rather than continuing on with Diagon Alley, just to break it up and spread it over a number of weeks or something like that. But then again, I thought you'd probably never forgive me if I didn't keep going with this. So here we are doing Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, which I've kind of got used to saying now without screwing it up. Anyway, before we start, I did want to say thank you very much for the huge volume of ideas that you provided after the part 1 of Diagon Alley, for all the uses of the different stores and for accommodating Nocturne Alley and all the rest of it, bridges over the railway, all sorts of stuff. So very well received. Thank you. I'm kind of considering those because the volume of them was quite high and the diversity of them very broad. So there's a lot to think about there. It's also a matter of what I can actually do as well. So lots of things to consider. So that's good. But the reason why I'm starting with this one isn't to avoid having to process all those ideas. It's because this is the most rigidly fixed one, if you see what I mean. What I mean by that is that if this is going to be backing onto the Palace Cinema, its position is very much fixed. And therefore, it's a very easy thing to do first. But then it also sets the stage of what the other things need to be positioned against. So I think it's always important when you're doing something with many, many variables to do the ones that are the least flexible first, because then it kind of narrows down the opportunities for all the other pieces and avoids you having to do things twice sometimes. If I started at the other end with the ones that were most flexible, I might realise I hadn't left enough room, or it would have been a bit better if it was closer, and so on. So I'm going to do this. Now, that means that I have to do the most horrible job of all, which is mirroring this build. If you remember last time, the whole point was that the building would fit very well with kind of this sort of an aspect to the main road, and that would show its most boring side. So what I wanted to do was mirror it, so it would kind of look more like that. Its most interesting aspect with the giant man and so on, with his movable hat. But obviously with it backing onto something on this side rather than on this side, and that's why I've got to mirror it. So that means I've got to take it apart and kind of build it as if there was a mirror here and it was going like that, but would look the same. So that is, well, basically disassembling it and reassembling it. Hopefully I can do it in sections and make it a bit quicker than that, but it's sort of unavoidable. Now, also on top of that, I'm going to be removing Nocturne Alley because, as we discussed last time, it's not going to fit because it's actually going to clash. Well, it's either going to pull right out into the street next to the Palace Cinema, and that'll look really weird when we look at it from the back. Sorry, Fred or George, depending on which one you are, because when you look at the back of this, it doesn't look right at all. This bit, if it was sticking out from the street with another building here, so that has to go somewhere else, and it might go in between 2 and 3 that I was describing as last time when we numbered them. So that would be in between Ollivander's and the pink one, the Quidditch supply shop. I think that would be a good place. Or it could go indeed next to the cafe one, which is actually the ice cream shop, and the other cinema I've got, my Art Deco cinema. So I haven't decided that. That's amongst all the options that you've helped me with. And then when I do mirror this, the other thing I want to do is not mirror the man. Because if I mirror it, then we're going to have this side, which has got sort of more of the mechanism showing here and the more boring arm. So when we do mirror it, I want it to be sort of more like this angle that we're seeing, where we've got the nice bent arm holding the top hat. So that's what complicates things yet further. Now, one of the ideas that was suggested over the past few days was actually swapping the Palace Cinema, which this would go right up against, with Fast Food Corner. And I thought, wow, that is a very bold idea. And that would enable the pawnbroker shop that's part of Fast Food Corner, that's in a very old style, to sort of become part of the same district as all these older buildings and the older town. So I like that a lot in principle. But the thing that is the main reason why I don't think that's going to work at all is that the Palace Cinema goes all the way back up to its entire corner. So when this is abutting it, it will be covered from end to end. Whereas Fast Food Corner starts at a similar place, but then it has that backyard with that scene with the bins being gone through by the rats, and therefore I'd have to cover kind of a strip about 6 or 8 brick studs wide along all the back of this, which would mean I'd have to move the stairs, move this banister and so on, and get a load more lilac bricks, which I don't really want to have to do. So unfortunately, although that is a brilliant idea, moving Fast Food Corner into this district, where it'd be a lot more prominent and we're able to see it very readily, I don't think that's going to work because this just won't marry up with it that well. But these are good ideas and very good suggestions, so I do not want to discourage any other bold suggestions because it was definitely well worth thinking about. And then while we're here, I thought I could actually have a go at Fred and George as well today. We've got their lovely faces, which I like very much, but they're on the wrong skin tone. As you know, I like to have yellow skin. So I'm going to steal some hands from these spare torsos, which are more of these space jackets, but I used all the ones I kind of need for now, at least, in my space tower. So I will borrow their hands. So we've got 4 yellow hands, rather. So I can pull these guys off. Sorry, very painful, I'm sure. Look away if you're squeamish. So there we go. Oh, his hair's popped off, but that's all right. We're going to need to do that as well. So you don't want to do this too many times because otherwise you might get very loose hands, and you don't want to push them in too far either because otherwise you can actually crack the arms. But generally speaking, it's a very easy change to make. So both of these faces are very jolly, and they've both got sort of gingery eyebrows to go with their ginger coloured hair. So I was trying to sort of replicate that. I can't get the exact same expressions, but basically the main thing is, golly, that's stiff. The main thing is that they are happy, jolly faces. And I was looking through all my heads, and 2 that came to light were this one that has quite a jolly wry smile on. He looks like a bit of a joker. And he's got ginger eyebrows. So that is what I think one of them is going to be. And the other one, where was the other one? Well, there was 2 choices. There was this one with this sort of smile and some sort of thinner ginger eyebrows. And then there was this one down here with this really sort of wide grin and some ginger eyebrows. Now, he has got sort of a few freckles, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem. So I think I'll go with that one because I think it's a bit more fun. So let me get these out. We're going to make a complete mess, but I'll put that to one side. Where was the other one? Up there. I just store them like this just so you can sort of see them and pick from them a bit more easily. So I don't know which one needs to be which, but let's see. So there's one. Oh, he looks very good. And there is the other. So the waistcoats probably tell avid fans of Harry Potter which one is which out of Fred and George. But I don't know, so I won't even guess because I'm bound to get it wrong. But how about that? Yellowed up Fred and George Weasley. Excellent. So that was a very easy change. I think the next one's going to be a lot harder. But I have got out my instruction book just in case I go wrong. And I'm going to probably break this up into larger sections to do one by one. So I hope it's not a too difficult build and that it goes Weasley. Huh? Weasley? My apologies for such a bad joke. So for the first stage, I've ripped off the base plate from the rest of the build, which I've got over to one side. And I've kind of done that quite crudely in that some bits have come with it and some haven't, but that's absolutely fine because it's all going to get flipped eventually one way or the other. And unfortunately, I don't have a second similar base plate to actually do this onto. So I'm actually going to be kind of flipping it, that stuff onto that side and that stuff onto that side at the same time, which could get a bit messy. But as I say, I have got the instructions close to hand if it becomes a problem. And the other thing is that I'm going to remove these cobbles. There are only 4 actually on this one, so it's not a great big thing, and put them to one side so I can use them to cobble the street in between the 2, because if you remember, I'm having 2 facing each other. And what you'd usually have on British medieval streets and alleys and things, is you'd have flagstones like this on each side for pedestrians, and then down the middle you'd have a strip of cobbles or sets, depending on the shape and the part of the country, and that would be for the carriages or the road bit in the middle, basically. So flagstones are usually big flat pieces of stone, and cobbles are round stones, and sets are usually squared off stones that allow good drainage and a firm base for the roadway. So I will be removing the dark tan flagstones from this side and replacing them with normal light bluish grey ones. And I do think that the cobbled street being in the middle will still differentiate it from the rest of my streets, and I'll have that very rough and bumpy, so I think that'll be good. But I don't really want this being such a contrast to the rest of my city, so that's what I'm also going to do as part of this flip. Right, well, there's all that mirrored, and it's looking all right so far. Not too difficult. Got rid of all of the dark tan elements from the bottom there, apart from the ones that are really built into the wall. And I think that looks fine. I may add street furniture. I may change the exact shapes of tiles that are used in due course, but at the moment I'm just making it a 2x2 fest of squares there. And now I can kind of either break off chunks from the bottom of the build, or just pull off the bricks kind of one by one off the bottom and stick them where they need to go. And I can pull off whole pieces of furniture that I don't really need to do anything with and stick them on as well. So I will make a couple of changes, like I'm going to get rid of my Technic bricks from this wall because I don't want them showing when it's not actually connected to anything else. But apart from that, it should just be a simple case of pulling these off and putting them back on and referring to the instructions when I get confused. So yeah, fingers crossed. Right, so I've pretty much done one story now, and as you can see, it's completely reversed, and we'll be seeing this wall against the cinema and this lovely round bay window on the corner, and I think that would just be absolutely fantastic. That's the whole reason for swapping it round. And the interior too, so it's looking fine. Very familiar, but a little unusual. And I just thought, rather than put all of this stock back in, this piece is going to go in here, I thought that a lot of these lovely stickered pieces I could have on the outside, because that's the only bit we're going to be able to see, perhaps in the process of being delivered or something like that. And these ones are probably the best ones to use for that. So why not have the Weasley brothers receiving an order from the manufacturer of the basic Blaze box, or from their production facility if they make it themselves, which is probably more likely the case. And I can just put this in with an empty shelf waiting to accept them. So I think I'll do that. Now, the good thing that is making this process a lot quicker is if you very carefully tease apart whole chunks of the build, then you can just mirror them individually. And indeed, some of them, like this one, are completely symmetrical, so no changes are required whatsoever, and they can be taken kind of off the original and put onto the mirrored version without any changes at all. I won't push that down because I've got to put the windows in and the man, but you see what I mean. So that is actually quite a good benefit. But yeah, we're nearly at 2 stories now. Got those wonderful adverts that we'll be able to see from the railway. And I think it's looking good. It doesn't look too bad against the light grey pavement either. I mean, it does blend in a little bit more, but A, it's going to be facing away from us from the main viewing angle, but also it kind of dulls this lilac colour that's my least favourite, as you know. Yeah, so it's looking good. Right, we're slowly getting there. You can see I've added the delivery to the outside, and I think that looks really good on the doorstep if I had one of the Weasley brothers there as well. So that's really good. Another thing I thought that I could use from the inside was these very sort of old style lights, because we're definitely not going to see them when this is all boxed in. And I figure that I'll be able to use those maybe modified as street lamps or something like that to give it sort of an old world feel as well. So I'll remove those, and I can always come back for some other stuff, but I think that'll do for now. Right, so we've got the man back on, and I've kept him the same way round, even though I've mirrored everything else, just so I've got the more interesting sort of elbow with hat type bit visible most in my room. And then I've got this being the problem where I've removed Nocturne Alley which would have gone in there, but the other way around, obviously. So I'm going to have to kind of fill in this gap, kind of freestyle, because I'm going to be using this build elsewhere. And it would be, well, it'd make most sense if it was in lilac and light grey, wouldn't it, like the rest of it? But the beginning of it's dark grey because it was blending in with this bit. So probably in due course, I'll need to replace all this column of bricks with the right colour scheme. But for now, I think I'll have to use dark bluish grey. So I've got some larger bricks just to fill in some of the gap just quickly. Until I can get those pieces on an order. And given the sort of wait times that we've got on Lego bricks and pieces and things at the moment, it might be a while. So I'll have a dark grey strip here in a non-ideal way, but it will be quite subtle, quite small. So, well, I guess it's unavoidable, really. Great, so I'll push on, finish this up and fill in this gap. Phew, finally finished. That went fairly Weasley in the end. I've got the lovely stock boxes at the front, got the Weasley brothers themselves outside this door because we're able to see that more, it being in the street just down from the cinema premiere that's going on. And I've left this off temporarily because this was a fantastic idea from one of my subscribers. So this was to change the head to actually have yellow skin as well, much like I have with the Weasley brothers. So well done for that. That's a brilliant suggestion. So I can just pop that on now. There's no point having skin tone on him if that's not what Lego Figures skin is. And we've still got the play function working there perfectly. So yeah, and here's the grey wall that I've put in. It doesn't look too out of place. We'll have to see how it looks when we're in the Lego room and it's next to the cinema. I've put in a couple of different bits just to make it look a bit more interesting. But I could end up doing that lilac. Well, we'll have to see how we feel when it's in place. But generally speaking, that is a great build. Greatly reversed. And I thought I'd definitely have these balloons still on. And on the outside, this piece sort of moves so you can kind of tilt it back or have it on the inside or the outside. But I thought that'd be a good feature for trains to whiz past unless they hit it. We'll see on that one as well. Yeah, so excellent. Up to the Lego room for our yellow-faced trio. Right, so I've moved out the old base plate that was in there. That was a green one. I just need to now grab this in a secure way, one-handed. Okay, don't want to hang on to the stairs because it will just come off in my hands. And then we can have the inaugural placing, which is something like that. Okay, well that joins all right, isn't it? Again, maybe the colour could be lilac, but it doesn't look objectionable in that it actually ties in with this dark bluish grey stripe there. But I mean, it's seamless on this join here. Even this white, rather light grey line sort of lines up with that one, and this lines up with that, so that's really good. Almost looks like they might have been built sympathetically next to each other. Now I do need to add a little bit of the wall for the Palace Cinema, increase that height just so we can't see in through this narrow slit here still. But I may have to do that another time, see what bricks I've got. And I do think the man on the corner does look good, even though we can't see him too much from this angle, but you can if you get down to street level. And I just love the fact that we've got this bright orange bay window now on the corner that we can see from way, way, way back. Kind of hints at something interesting on the corner. And because of its curve, it kind of makes you want to kind of see round it down this alley. So I really like that. Maybe I should swap the man round just so we can see his face a bit better. If he was tipping his hat from the other side, I don't know. I don't think that'd be too hard to do if we decided that. Tell me what you think. And then we've got the Weasley brothers waving at us from outside. I might move them into sort of other scenes in due course, but as I might extend the pavement onto all this area. But I think it would be better to do that once I've got all the other buildings in place. As I said, this is kind of the anchor, the first building that we need to get in because it's position is pretty well defined already, and then the others can fit in sympathetically with that. Actually, another similarity I've noticed is we've kind of got flat roofs, but we've got this angled roof here, which also matches with that one there. So that's good. I might even be able to build more viewing for the illegal wrestling den onto that roof. I don't know if I want to do that though. Yeah, cool. Maybe we should have a look from the other angle, from the second standing hole over there, and see what it looks like from the train side. Oh, actually, quickly, while we're here, let's just make sure the train can get past. And it can. So that's good. Right, to the other side. But I'm really liking it from here. And here's the view from the second standing hole. Obviously, we'll definitely have to plug that gap at the top, but apart from that, it's looking great. Again, you see that that wall is completely aligned with the cinema wall. This is just begging for some big adverts on, and I will be doing that in due course. And they'll probably be 3D, which will tie in with the 3D balloons. But then we've got some 2D adverts for this particular shop on that wall. So I think that will tie in even more in due course. And then if we go down to sort of minifigure height or thereabouts and look down, we can see those wonderful orange windows on what will be our little sort of miniature Diagon Alley. Though I'll probably give it a different name for Brick Nottingham. I've moved the Quidditch shop that will be here on the right from this perspective. Down, where's my finger? There we are, about here. But yeah, I'm really liking that view. That's really good as well. So although today's video has been largely me building something I'd already built in a slightly different order, I think it is worth it because of that end result. I mean, that really is a good view, isn't it? Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. And the other thing is that from probably a more normal angle, the lilac just isn't that bright because we're seeing so much less of it and not with the orange as well. So yeah, I like that as well. Fantastic. So do tell me what you think. Do tell me if you like the yellow skin of the large man that's sticking out the windows. And tell me if you like the positioning. But apart from that, I think we're there. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Some videos have more dynamic elements to them than others, but nonetheless, this is very necessary structural and foundation work. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, I guess we'll be doing a brick haul as usual because it'll be a Wednesday. And then on Friday, well, maybe we'll get on with the next part of embedding Diagon Alley into Brick Nottingham. So, see you then!